because his head smacked off the ground,
Yes.
the repeat of all of those hits are starting to add up.
We have just learned that our quarterback, Tua, is once again in the NFL's concussion protocol.
Status for this week's game against the Patriots is now in doubt. Tua took a hit yesterday against the Green Bay Packers.
He should not play for the rest of the season, whether you call it 2 concussions or 3. So I'm more concerned about Tua and his family than I am about him playing the rest of the year.
It would really break my heart if this was the case, but if there has ever been a threat to the future of the NFL, it has been under a microscope even more so this year. There have been multiple incidents regarding this one topic that we're going to discuss today, and I am hoping that one day there will be a solution, because over the past 2 weeks, and even earlier on this year, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So before we get to the content, man, we're coming to you guys from Istanbul, Turkey. You can take a moment to leave a like, consider subscribing, and turning on our notifications to help the channel grow. It'd mean a lot. And on top of that, if you want to see what I'm up to in Istanbul, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Now that we get all that out of the way, break. This video is sponsored by PrizePicks. You guys know PrizePicks has been my latest obsession because I live in California. There's no way that you could gamble on games in California, so the best way you could get action on games is through PrizePicks. And ever since I partnered with them, we've been having a lot of fun. And before we get to the latest promo, I want to give a huge shout out to my man, Nasri Hasbun, who tweeted me a 6-legged pick that he hit on as a result of our last promo, which means he 25x'd his money. And that's freaking awesome. Hopefully more of my subs hit this big as a result of today's promo. As a matter of fact, it's not only today's promo, because from this day and on until Christmas Day, PrizePicks is releasing a brand new promo every day, and it's called Picksmas. All you have to do is download PrizePicks, use my promo code Mikerophone to get up to a $100 deposit match, and then just log into PrizePicks each and every day to see what they're offering for that day. Since they're offering a brand new promo each and every day, I'm probably going to be posting my picks onto my Instagram story. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I literally play PrizePicks each and every day. So huge shout out to PrizePicks for the sponsorship. Make sure you sign up with my promo code Mikerophone or the link in the description down below. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? CTE has been a very touchy subject for the NFL, especially recently. It's a very tricky situation because you don't necessarily know if a football player has CTE until they pass away and they could officially do an autopsy on the player. And for now, we do have a documentary on Junior Seau and how these hits completely ruined the latter part of his life, despite him being one of the more decorated players in NFL history. We have discussed the tragic story of Chris Henry in years past as well, but I think probably the prime example of CTE that usually comes to the forefront of everyone's head every single time it's discussed is Antonio Brown. I mean, we've done a documentary on this. In the very beginning, Antonio Brown was a soft-spoken, relatively humble kid who did periodically make some questionable decisions, but whenever he would be interviewed, he would at least be able to form coherent sentences. And it's something that has been swept under the rug recently, because I'm not saying that Antonio Brown shouldn't be held accountable for his actions, but we're talking about a man that is posting screenshots of Tom Brady trying to console him, which, by the way, it happened again. Take a look at this. You have a chip on your shoulder, and the mental and emotional ultimately defines the best of us. I face it a lot. Why are people so critical and hating? Why is it fair? I believe it's because we handle it, although it's hard. That resilience will be tested every day. Don't give in. You can handle it. And when you aren't feeling great, call me. We can do anything. And we will always rise above our doubters and naysayers, because we always have. It's not right, but we show a lot of people light and inspiration if we deal with whatever comes gracefully. They will remember your grace under pressure, and how you deal on field is how you do it off field, with incredible precision and planning and discipline. And I'm going to help you in any way I can. again. I don't know if this is a desperate cry for help from Antonio Brown, him trying to expose Tom Brady and failing again, but this is just the introductory part of this video. There's significant issues in the NFL right now, and you don't necessarily need to go back to the beginning of the season, but we will later on in this video for the examples of it. 2 weeks ago, Devontae Parker got absolutely leveled during a game where the New England Patriots faced off against the Arizona Cardinals. In this game, the New England Patriots seem to have been in a hurry-up offense, and in this situation, Devontae Parker on national television, despite getting leveled and clearly not being coherent enough to walk straight, was ushered to move to his spot and line up at the line of scrimmage, although seeming dazed and confused, and was stuck in that situation until his teammate Nelson Aguilar told the referee that he must stop the game because his teammate clearly seemed to have been concussed. Now, here's the crazy part. I actually stand corrected. It wasn't even Nelson Aguilar that stopped the play. It was the fact that Cliff Kingsbury challenged the play, which saved Devontae Parker from severe brain damage. Now, get this. The scary part about this is the NFL and NFL Players Association did a review on this situation to see whether or not concussion protocol was violated, and take a look at the statement that they provided. The NFL and NFLPA have reviewed the medical staff reports and game video and interviewed the relevant medical personnel to understand the sequence of events leading up to New England Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker's removal from the December 12, 2022 game for a concussion evaluation. The parties initiated the review because it appeared that Mr. Parker may have been permitted to participate in the subsequent play without a concussion evaluation. The parties have concluded that the game day concussion checklist was followed. The documents and interviewers established that one of the spotters was engaged with the Patriots medical staff regarding a prior injury when the play occurred. The other certified athletic trainer spotter observed the play as it occurred, heard the broadcaster's commentary in real time, and immediately informed his colleague of the need to review the play for a potential head injury. During the approximately 20 seconds that elapsed before play was stopped, both spotters requested the replay and reviewed the game video to confirm the player received an impact to the head and exhibited post-injury behavior, and concluded a mandatory evaluation was necessary. The spotters were in the process of calling a medical timeout when play was stopped due to the Cardinals throwing a challenge flag. The spotters then advised the Patriots medical staff that the player required a concussion evaluation pursuant to the protocol. Maybe they did follow concussion protocol. I'm not necessarily on a witch hunt here. If they claim that they did, they claim that they did, and I can move on because I think there's other severe instances of this situation occurring. One being earlier on in this season that resulted in the rule changes to begin with. If you remember, earlier on this year, Tua Tagovailoa unfortunately got rocked in a game versus the Buffalo Bills when Matt Milano hit him, and it resulted in Tua stumbling. Now, following this hit, Tua was allowed to continue playing, and 4 days later, the Miami Dolphins had to face off against the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was in this game, 4 days removed after a questionable decision to leave Tua in, despite him clearly sustaining some sort of head injury, despite multiple so-called experts claiming that Tua was good to play. Tua once again got absolutely rocked when he was sacked on national television. Now, this was done despite multiple doctors saying that this would be a horrific decision for the Miami Dolphins. Dr. Chris Nowinski said before the incident, if Tua takes the field tonight, it's a massive step back for concussion care in the NFL. If he has a second concussion, that destroys his season or career. Everyone involved will be sued and should lose their jobs, coaches included. We all saw it. Even they must know that this isn't right. So what was the result of this? Well, Tua would essentially give all of us a gigantic thumbs up and say that despite him sustaining an injury that caused Tua to give us a fencing response, which is the reference to Tua pretty much throwing up signs with his hands when he did get hit in his game versus the Cincinnati Bengals, Tua let us know that he is okay, and the NFL even notified us that the Dolphins followed concussion protocol. The result of this was severe backlash. Mike McDaniel was under severe scrutiny by multiple players like Ryan Clark, for instance, who compared this situation to a situation that he went through during his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where his head coach pretty much protected Ryan Clark from himself.
About to go in this, I was like, I got it. I was like, everything that you're telling me, you just got to go tell Mike T, and they're gonna let me play. Like 5 minutes through the spiel, I had 30 minutes for him. That was good, and he stops in the middle, and he said something to me, man, that I'll always be grateful for. He's like, if you were my kid, I wouldn't even be having this conversation.
But that's not what would end up happening. Mike McDaniel would not protect Tua from himself. And we got this adorable story how Tua sat on the plane with Mike McDaniel and watched MacGruber during his flight home. And next thing you know, after a few changes to the concussion protocol, Tua was allowed to play again. Bear in mind, multiple head coaches came out and said that they had pulled players despite them being cleared for concussion protocol just for not looking right, including Bill Belichick. So following this incident, everyone rejoiced when there were new protocols in place. The NFLPA and NFL decided to agree to new protocols in which anytime any player demonstrates any instability, he is not allowed to return to the game. And the rule would go into effect relatively soon. It's very unprecedented for you to see rule changes occur in the NFL that quickly, but fortunately for us, in this instance, it did. So why am I rehashing all this old stuff? You might be thinking, Mike, you were making content about this 3 months ago. Why are you bringing it up again? Well, this is a story that becomes a trilogy. First part being Tua's hit when he was knocked out by Matt Milano. The second part being when he was sacked on Thursday Night Football. And the finale being Tua's hit versus the Green Bay Packers when the Miami Dolphins took on the Green Bay Packers this past weekend. Earlier on in the game, when the Miami Dolphins are leading 20-10, Tua would fake a handoff and then drop back, get chased by a Green Bay Packers defender, and get his head slammed once again in a way that resembles his sack versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, man, Tua's a grown man. He can make his own decisions. I'm not going to tell him what to do. I already think 1 concussion is concerning. 2 concussions within a span of 4 days is terrifying. 3 concussions in the span of 2 to 3 months? I don't even want to imagine the type of brain trauma Tua has sustained as a result of this. But ultimately, if he wants to decide to keep playing the sport of football, that's his decision. What's a little bit more concerning about this is, once again, how Mike McDaniel handled this situation. Check this out. In this game, the Miami Dolphins wouldn't end up winning. As a matter of fact, Tua would perform horrifically down the stretch. And whether you want to draw this conclusion, whether you want to say there's a correlation between Tua sustaining a concussion and performing horrifically, is your decision. But I'm just going to put this out there for you guys to know that prior to the concussion, Tua was 9 for 12, threw 229 passing yards, averaged 19.1 yards per attempt, had 1 touchdown and no interceptions. The moment he sustained this concussion, Tua went 7 of 13, threw for 81 passing yards, had 6.2 passing yards per attempt, threw 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Now, there might be a correlation between sustaining a head injury and performing horrifically for the second part of the game. I'll let you draw that conclusion as well. But as a result of this, once again, Tua would enter concussion protocol. And this is following this game. According to Adam Schefter, Tua Tagovailoa would enter the NFL's concussion protocol a day after the team's loss to the Green Bay Packers. This is the second time this season Tua has been placed into protocol. So backup quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will be taking his place for Sunday's game versus the Patriots. Now, Mike McDaniel said, I just want guys to really be done right by the information we have, the science and all the medical expertise that we rely on. I care very deeply about each and every player. I take that very seriously. I just want him to get healthy and have peace of mind in that regard. It's about the human being and making sure he's squared away. It's natural human reaction to point the blame finger at Mike McDaniel, saying,
how dare you let Tua continue to play?
But the thing is, I highly doubt Mike McDaniel would allow Tua to continue playing if experts are coming up to him saying Tua is fine, and if Tua himself is saying he's fine. I'm not saying McDaniel is completely innocent in this situation, but I do want to draw a parallel for you to pay attention to here, because again, I'm not on some sort of witch hunt. When Mike White sustained a severe rib injury, he begged for Robert Saleh to allow him to play again. He literally went to 10 different doctors for second opinions because he couldn't get cleared to play football. Now, Mike White's situation is different from Tua's because this was Mike White's opportunity to potentially prove to teams that he could start in the NFL, and he was performing really well and he had all this momentum, and I kind of understand why he would do this. But it's part of football's culture for these players to do whatever they can to say they're okay and perform for their team. And I guess you could say Tua was under significant pressure as well. He's in a situation in a very crucial year for himself on a team that is consistently in rumors that they might move on from Tua for a different quarterback, which, by the way, there's still Tom Brady to the Miami Dolphins rumors to this day. I mean, I saw one a couple days ago that I kind of took with a grain of salt because I just felt like it was an outdated narrative. So maybe Tua felt that pressure to continue playing for the Miami Dolphins, shake the label of him potentially being injury prone, because there were concerns about him being injury prone coming out of college. image. Maybe Tua wanted to hide the fact that he had a concussion, and as a result, he would be able to finish out the game and hopefully eke out a win against a team that he really needed to eke out a win against. And ultimately, that all failed. I'm not going to sit back here and point the blame finger at Mike McDaniel. Obviously, if he knows something is up, he should do something about it, but there's no way for me to prove that Mike McDaniel knew that something was up, even though you can make an argument that he could have handled the situation better a couple months ago when Tua was limping off of the field versus the Buffalo Bills and then allowing him to play 4 days later. At the end of the day, it's up to Tua to look out for Tua. It's up to Tua to say, hey, I'm not good to go and I need to take care of myself. It's up to Tua to realize that there's a long career ahead for him and there's a long life ahead of him, and choose how he decides to manage his life moving forward. If he thinks he's taking way too many shots to the head, or if he thinks that his brain is in danger, he should take the appropriate action to make sure that he is not going to sustain more head injuries. I don't even want to think of what a fourth concussion could do to this young man's life. I already think 2 concussions in a span of 4 days is way too much. At the end of the day, this is a trickling down effect, because not only does this screw over Tua, but it also gives the NFL a horrific name. It also gives Mike McDaniel a horrific name for not managing this situation better. Multiple people are being blamed for the fact that Tua is sustaining these injuries. And I'm not necessarily saying it's one particular party's fault. I'm saying that at each level, there needs to be an additional effort to make sure that this doesn't consistently happen. Because if not, eventually we'll get to a point where people will decide football is way too dangerous of a sport to play. And that would be a very dark day for all of us. And I hope that never comes true. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.